Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. Today we're going to take a look at a special edition of Castles of Burgundy. This is the Awakened Realms version. This is one of the newest in several different reincarnations of this game in formats. We've had Castles of Burgundy, Castles of Burgundy Deluxe Edition, Castles of Burgundy the dice game, Castles of Burgundy the card game. Man, the list goes on. Now we have Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. What's so special about it? This sucker's thick. I did an unboxing, and you can tell I could literally use it for a canoe if I wanted to. But anyway, let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look at what comes in the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. You get a box, a very large box filled with goodies and accoutrements. We have lots and lots of things in the box. There are lots of, these are all, we're going to go expansion first. All of the expansion stuff I've got down here in its own little area. And then I add, there's additional sheets. There's a ton of different, so everything in the kitchen sink as far as expansions that I've ever done for the Castle of Burgundy are here. We're going to focus on the core game, because if you want to know about the expansions, pretty much everything's described for you. But again, you get special custom tiles, you get vineyard expansions, you get extra player boards, etc. But what comes in the main thing is, well, you get this thick stack of player board styles. It is a lot of variety, and you'll notice they're all numbered, and that's because different expansions have different numbers. There's about 29, 30 some odd, yeah, around 30 or so, and so there's enough here for every player to have and be able to pick one of 30, so 120. Yeah, this is very nice. This is the biggest, most funnest thing, is that in the past when I would be setting it up, I would play, you'd get it just a flat board, and it's up to you to keep stuff on there and not have it jiggle and wobble and all that stuff. Just, don't mess it up. Now we don't have to worry about it. These double-sided, they're very thick layered boards. One of them is already starting to bow. The other ones are doing okay, but I do double-layered boards just have that. There's just something about them. So, but you have détentes, little sections, cutouts where you can actually put things and not have to worry about them. If you get into like hurricane season, or if you have to do your own personal breathalyzer test and you overshoot and blow stuff off. Anyway, but there's everything you need to know for everything you need to do is here in this board, and this is absolutely helpful. This little thing will help you line it up. There's no shifting, there's no twisting, no muss, no fuss. Everybody wins as far as the components. And not only that, and we'll see some of these live, every player's little pieces. You've got metal coins. This is the deluxe edition. 2 dice, fancy dice, castles. I did the upgrade to get the extra fancy castles that you can place on the board, so it looks real shiny. Everyone gets a player card and a helper card, which is great. Everything you can do on your turn here, all the core buildings, what they do real quick, all of the monastery stuff, great, fantastic. You get these nice leathery style pull bags. And then you get the board, the main board, which has been revisited, revised, and re-envisioned. I like it. I like the feel of it. I think it does its job quite nicely. You get very thick goods tokens, which you can sell using a ship. And last but not least, if you do not get the acrylic tile upgrade, you're going to get these nice, really well designed, redesigned wood tokens, wood markers, wood hexes. What's cool about these, and why I suggest if you don't know and have never played Castle of Burgundy before, you might, and you do get the acrylic tiles that go with it, which I'm going to show you shortly. I would actually almost suggest not using the acrylic tiles, because the back of each of these actually gives you the hint about what they do, which is a really nice, handy thing to look up, particularly when you're learning the game. Granted, over time, you're going to learn what all the buildings are. You can tell, like, I can, from memory, you'll know, like this, you play this, it gives you 4 victory points. You play the livestock, you know how they score and stuff. And so I probably will keep these around, but in general, we have brand new, this is for the expansion for the vineyards, but you have new acrylic tiles, and all of these acrylic tiles are just so stinking viscerally delicious. Oh, man, see that part in like Pirates of the Caribbean, oh, down to the last man. Oh my gosh. But the strawberries. Extra points if you know what that movie's quote is from. But yeah, you're going to get all these nice acrylic tiles, and each tells you everything about them. And that's it. That's the components. Let's get into an example of how you play Castles of Burgundy. Right, now despite having played this game being around for as long as it has, and it's been many years, decade-ish years, I still have only recently, and I'm spoiling it, but began enjoying it to the degree that I think it deserves finally. On your turn, the object of the game is, like any game that usually involves Stefan Feld as a designer, the object of the game is to win. This is the most basic setup. This is the vanilla start here and learn. There's the way you earn victory points varies dramatically. You can earn them during the game. You can in the post game. There are additional ways to earn points, very typical of Stefan Feld. You begin with a castle, which you can place anywhere, but most people like to place it in the middle. It helps, just gives it a nice way to emanate out from it. I've set up a quick 2-player game just to kind of show just to show you how it's going. So what you're going to do when you start off with is each round, there's going to be 5 rounds. You have 5 stacks of goods. Each of those 5 stacks are going to be placed here for the rounds of each turn, however they do it. And it's basically you're going to take 5 actions. Round 2, 5 actions. So you're going to get 25 turns, personal turns, with 2. Well, whatever. Anyway, every time it's your turn, you get to do 2 things. So, most of the time. There are exceptions, but let's go with it. But the first thing we do before we begin is we stack up stuff. Just love the feel of this, like, this such tactile goodness. You take each one of these and you fill them up, and so that each of these areas has some sort of building that you could acquire on your turn. And you'll notice that all these buildings, like this one here, we'll go over it shortly. I'm probably going to expedite this in the video. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just make you all sit and watch it while I slowly, like an old man, fill out my arsenal of livestock. Ooh, hey, horsey. Is that a horsey? No, I lied. Sheep. At least I can tell sheep. Got sheep for wood. All right, and then this is the black market. The black market is the exception to the rule of how you obtain goods, because you have to pay cold hard cash for these suckers. And a lot of these are just duplicates of what you would get normally in the areas where you can purchase, but you can fast track these and kind of give yourself an edge in the black market. And there's always going to be ships. So this is the set of 2 ship here. Those of you who give a ship. And a mine. A mine. Not yours. Not mine. Not ours. Alright, so we're set up here. And then the first thing we do is we take this and we take these goods and we lay them out so that they appear here as if by magic or something. Anyway. So, there we go. We're now set up and we're ready to go. So what do people do on their turns? Well, someone's going to be the first player, and they get this token, the white die. The white die is important. Now, why do you care? Some things you can do on your turn. Oh, 3 goods. Everybody gets 3 goods to start with. So again, 1, 2, 3, and they can be duplicates, but they stack. So, for example, if I grabbed this one, I'd stack it here. You can have 3 different distinct piles of goods, and you just keep like stacking similar goods on top. You can only have 3 different types at any given time, but anyway. And then everyone gets a coin, and you get a worker, 2 workers, 3 workers, 4 workers, based on when you start in turn order. All right, let us begin, pilgrims. First thing we do is we roll the dice. Everybody rolls the dice at the same time. Miami dice here. All right, we put them here, in these nice little notches. We're going to do the same thing with blue. Even though not first player, she's going to roll her dice because she has options too. All right, the first thing that the start player, which is noted here on this track, and red is going first, is to take that number and put it in this area here. The number here is irrelevant. Don't worry about that. Just this is the location. These goods can then be grabbed by anyone who wants to place a ship. The key in this game, and think kind of Ticket to Ride-ish, is that you can procure tiles, and they go here up to 3. You have to discard whatever. You can only have 3 waiting at a time. And one of your other actions is you can place a tile. So you can't grab and place a tile at the same time. That can never happen. You always have to take a tile and put it here first, and then in a subsequent action that you take, you may place it here. So that's awesome. All right, so what are we going to do? Now that we've done that, then in turn order, everyone's going to use their 2 dice. Now, what do these numbers represent? Well, one of two things. Either an ability to grab a tile from the corresponding number, so 1 and 5. So I can look here and go, I can take this building, I can take this ship, I can take this building, or I can take this ship. How convenient. That is one thing you can do, and I'm going to actually take a ship and I'm going to place it here. All right. So I have used my 5 dice. Now, was that smart? No. Let me tell you why. I'm actually going to use my 1 instead. I'll show you why in a second. Look at that. And that goes in here. Now, yay, I'm happy. I get to do my other action with 5. Well, here's some things you can do. You can do what I just did and use that number to grab some corresponding tile. Or you can take this tile and put it into your duchy here in a correspondingly marked numbered spot. Now this is interesting because we just happen to have it right here to do this. Your first building has to be next to the castle. After that, you always have to place a new hex tile next to an existing hex tile. So we're going to do that. Look at that. 5, 5. Yay! Is this cool? Not even quite. We have even more coolness because this ship, when you place it, whenever you place something into your duchy, and this is the only time that's going to happen, you have a one-time action that each of these tiles is going to do, as noted by this help sheet. So for all these things, not when you grab it and put it into your keyed buildings of savings, but once you actually place it into your duchies, these are actions that instantly can happen. If you can't do them, you lose them. So be careful of timing here. What you can do then is take any one of these areas here, and any one of these depots, and you can grab a good. Well, clearly there's only one place. We put it here, and then we place it on top of here. This is good. We're stockpiling goods for future goodness. All right, and because red goes up on the, there you go. So red's gonna stay like still a start player. Grabbing a ship is kind of determines who gets to be the start player. And that's it. That is the entire action for the first round of turn A. Now we go over to B and we decide, well, what are we going to do? We've got 3 and 5 to contend with. There's a couple things we could do. We can, and it's noted here. If you ever want to know all the things you can do, you can grab a building from the main board. You can place a building into your duchy. You can sell goods, which is pretty good. You can just grab 2 workers, which we'll get to in a moment. And then these are for expansion points here. But or you can use 2 coins to get something from the black market. You can do that anytime. That supersedes any action. It's just a little side action you can always do. So 3 and 5. So let's do, we're going to take no we're not. We're going to take 3 and show you this. We're going to take this and set it here. That's our 3 action. But what about our 5 action? Well, I don't like 5. I wish that we had 4. Wouldn't 4 be better? Well, we can do something with that. When you take a 5, you're always welcome to use a worker to go up or down 1. So 5 becomes 4. And now we can deal with the 4 so that the 4 will be with us always. And then we go to the 4 depot and go, yep, I too want a ship for a later turn. And there we go. And we're done. And this gets exhausted. And that's it. That's the end of the round. Now we're going to go back and we're going to do it again. Everyone's going to roll their die. Turns go really fast when you know what you're doing. Ooh, double 3s. All right. 3s frame. Same here. We roll 6 and 4. And right now, 5 means that we're going to take this and put it on the 5 tile. All right. So slowly we're bringing goods into the depot over time. And again, 3 and 3. So what can we do with 3? I mean, we could take this. We could also just simply give up one of the dice to grab 2 workers, which we're going to do. We're going to do this and just grab 2 workers here. Yay, you can have as many workers as you want. And there you go. And then we could, if we wanted to, we could sell goods. We're going to do that. We're going to use those two workers to go from 3 to 1. And we're going to sell goods. Sell goods. So what do we do? Anytime you sell goods, a stack of goods, you always get a coin. Just one, pilgrims. And then you get victory points for each tile good that you sell. You're going to get a corresponding number of victory points based on the number of players. 2-player game, two of those. 2 times 2 is 4. There we go. So we're going to go 4. There we go. All right. So we've just earned 4 victory points. We are now ahead in the game. Huzzah! And there you go. And then we go over and we do it again. And we have 4 and 5. And you can see what's going on. I'm just going to start like fast tracking it. So for example, if I had 2 coins, let's say that I have 2 coins here. And I'm like, you know what? I really want to place a building right now. But I don't have what it needs. Oh, I know, like here, like I have a 4 in here. Well, why don't I just pay 2 coins, and I'm going to put this sucker here, and then I'm going to use my 4 dice to install this, and that means at the end of every single phase, A, B, C, D, or E, I'm going to get a coin. That's nice, and that's going to compound over time. Yay! Now I can expand out, and I can build around here in these areas too. I don't have what it takes right now to be able to build the ship. I don't have anything near where this can be, so I need to look again and go, was there anything at 6? Well, that's cool. This is going to give me 4 workers, so I'm going to grab this one. Now it's full. Now I've got to be able to do something to install these into my duchy before I get going on to anything else. And that's really the game. You're going to go along and you're going to continue this for 5 rounds. When that's done, you're going to take this tile and then this tile and that tile, and pretty soon you're going to be done. Now there are a couple things to know. When you completely fill in an area, you are going to get points for that area based on how large that area was and the round it's in. So for example, if I could finish this section up here, this round, and have 3 different tiles in these areas, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 6 points, plus whatever round it is, I'm going to get points for that. So the earlier you can slam those in, the more points you're going to get for it. Also, if you completely fill in all the colors, one color, if all 6 of these are filled in, at any point, you grab one of these tiles, and based on the player count, you're going to get points for that, which is kind of cool. And, oh wait, I didn't. Well, you keep the goods, you don't. There you go, yeah. Tiebreakers, etc., etc. There's various reasons. Anyway, but yeah, that's it. That's the essence of the game. What makes it interesting are the buildings that you can have. You install this, it's going to instantly give you 2 coins right away. Well, that's handy. You install this, you just get 4 victory points. Yeah, same thing. You've got goods that will give you a tile, or that give you workers. You've got a town hall, which is pretty cool because when you actually place it, you can place another building as well right then and there. You've got ways to grab tiles for free. You've got livestock. The castles are nice. If you install a castle, you get an extra turn. Livestock are interesting because you get points when you play them. And then you get, so for example, 4 points. That's easy enough. Well, guess what? You get 4 points, and then I put this here, and yes, I know it has to be contagious. Even if it's in a different area, for the same kind of livestock, you're going to get 6 points. So the more you add of the same type, the more points you're going to get for every pasture, and that's kind of a cool bonus as well. That's it. That's Castles of Burgundy. There's a ton of different options. As you play the expansions, you're going to find additional tiles, additional benefits. The monasteries themselves, when you install them, have special abilities that kind of go on and on. These are sort of your persistent effects, where you can pay more for stuff, or you can, again, like the variety of effects here are great. You got in-game monasteries where you get extra points for installing certain buildings. Just a ton of neat little things that go on, little incremental changes and joys to your duchy. And when it's done, when all 25 turns have been completed, you'll do some final scoring. You're going to get some points for again, the in-game buildings, for a couple other things like the coins that you accrue, and whoever has the most points wins. There's also a solo automa called the Shatoma, which I find clever, that's great for solo play. And there's a vineyard expansion, which I'm not going to get into detail with. I've seen some good videos that explain it online, which I have played with as well. This expands it out quite a bit. You get an entirely different sideboard, and you're going to be having these as possibilities to be able to take these tiles as well and earn some points in a side manner. But that's it. That's Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. Let's get into my final thoughts. Okay, final thoughts on Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. First we go over the cons, then we go over the pros, then we go over my final thoughts. As for the cons, it's intrinsically, this game is so well established and so well defined over the last decade or so that by now, if you haven't heard of it, it's perfectly fine. But if you have, you've either probably played it and decided it really was all that in a bag of chips, or you've played it and thought, yeah, it's okay. And so there's a lot of different audiences for this game that to be informed as to whether this is of great value to them. I will tell you that as far as cons go, it is pricey. This is not you can anybody can buy Castles of Burgundy right now in the $30 price range for the original version, or even some of the like intermediary deluxe editions. And so if price is prohibitive, you don't need to deny yourself the the gameplay if you like it, or feel left out because this totally obfuscate or obsolesces the previous versions. No worries on that. The other thing is, again, if you are a new player and this is new to you and you like this and you thought it had a lot of pizzazz and you didn't know or didn't play the previous versions, I do still recommend if you got the acrylic tile kit or whatever, I still found value in the original cardboard hex tiles, because the back of them is just a real quick lookup. Great player aids, but I mean, there was nothing as convenient in relearning this game as there was in just going, what does that do again? Flip? Oh yeah, that's right. Real great way to do it. They don't have those on the acrylics. Maybe it was a cost concern. Maybe it was just a look. If you're buying the acrylics, you probably already know each building by heart, kind of thing. I don't know. Not a showstopper, but that's really all that I have against this title. Is that it's cost prohibitive if you're budget minded. It doesn't radically alter or create. It's not a sequel to Castles of Burgundy. And again, starting out, you may benefit from using cardboard tiles for a while before switching to the clicky-clacky acrylics. Now let's get into the pros. Everything about this game is premier, top quality, top-notch assets for the most part. Every single aspect of it's just really elegantly and exquisitely devised from end to end. Yes, it is a big box filled with content, and all that content is relevant and meaningful, particularly if you really liked Castles of Burgundy and now get to sit back and enjoy the experience. If you like going out for a nice Sunday drive in your Datsun, then when a really good new friend gives you a Maserati and you go out riding in that, of course you're going to feel better about it, even though you're driving. Both are awesome. That nice sunny day with the top down, because you took a saw to the Datsun's roof, but it's great. The pieces are the player boards, despite the slight warping, which only one of them did, and even then it's slight, but every board warps. Every double-sided layer, maybe one game I've had that hasn't had some sort of slight warping. It's just the design somehow. But having the little détentes, the little gaps to put everything is just so nice. The jiggling table is not really a problem anymore in the way that it was in the original, when you kind of had to worry about sliding and not jostling and stuff moving. Where it just gives it a nice cohesion to the game to match the rule set. You literally have a place for everything and everything in its place. Mise en place. And so that's really good. The vibrancy of the map, the vibrancy of the components, the artwork on the tiles, absolutely love them better than the original. I love everything about this artistically better than the original. Some don't, I do. I think it's just a massive upgrade and a labor of love to show that level of detail, not just in the artwork itself, but in the information design of the player board and the cards, player board and the player board and the main board, and the let alone the tokens. If you got the acrylics, I just love me the tiki-taki stuff, like Azul with its sort of like just nice, or Splendor with those nice visceral chips. This is just nice, I love it. Those things appeal to me. As far as gameplay, nothing's really changed. It's the same solid game that's so highly rated. If you enjoyed it, it's a pleasant journey. For those who don't know what it's about, you'll see, most everything is just meant to be advantageous. It's one of those games, and there have been quite a few recently that just has you don't do something that stabs you. It's just something, it's all about building and growing and advancing in little ways and trying to manipulate things in little ways. There really isn't any, you've been struck by catastrophe, your duchy's been nuked kind of stuff. It's all about pleasantness and building. There's a lot of little decisions. You don't you don't find yourself too starved. You usually just I mean, there are times when you're like, man, I wish if I could just get one more worker, I could bump up this dice and get that. And that's fun. That's, that's a trade-off thing where you're looking at going, okay, well, if I can't do what I really wanted to do optimally, are there a couple things I can do mostly optimally? And all of that's still there. The expansions, a lot of times when you add the expansions and extensions and modules, they're haphazard without this box. They're all over the map as far as getting them, where they come from, how to, grab these. A lot of expansions do this too. When they do like a deluxe editions where you add so much, sometimes it can get out of hand where you're like, well, what goes where? What fits in where? The manual is so nice. It's got this nice curve, like almost a fabric, like a manuscript texture to it. And even that, everything about it just flows so nicely for both new players and returning players to Castles of Burgundy. Everything flows to explain to you the game rules, and then all of the modules are defined. It's all numerically ordered, so I get, like, even looking up the monasteries, you can go, okay, 6. Well, you go look up the chart. You don't have to try and remember the name or look at the building. You just go, number 6. Okay, that's what that is. Cool. Very, very, very well presented to give you sort of this fine dining experience of sorts. The biggest modules, like the vineyard and the other big ones, there's a few little ones that are just like, hey, here's a little mini module, whatever. But again, it's all ordered. It tells you what fits, what where, how it goes. Everything's logically ordered. The vineyard expansion, again, it wasn't required that, wow, this changes the game and now I'll never play without it. It adds more to what I think is just a wonderfully beautiful, elegant system in its own right at its core, and so I didn't feel this need to add the vineyards to it. It's great if it's there. I would play with it if it was there. I wouldn't hate on it, but I also didn't think it was essential to be able to enjoy it, particularly when you have, again, 30 some odd different maps. You've got the nice plastic covering to make sure stuff jostled. It is exquisite. Is it an exquisite presentation? The gameplay is already tried and true and fantastic. So, Castles of Burgundy, final thoughts. I will admit to you that when I first bought the original Castles of Burgundy, it was a modestly interesting game to me. I never thought I'd pull it. I kind of got it, and I was going, okay, that's interesting, that's neat. Yeah, you build your duchy, kind of cool. But I never really gave it much thought. I'm like, I understand why people like it, but it wasn't something that I was just dying to get out and play when there were so many other games. When they came out with the deluxe edition, I tried it again, and I'm like, kind of the same thing, just didn't resonate with me. It came out in a digital version, and I played it and went, okay, I get it. The card game came out, and I'm like, I actually like this a little bit better. And then the dice came out, and I'm like, it's fine and stuff. And so when I backed this, I almost backed it kind of going, well, I got all the other ones, I might as well bite this. I happen to have the ability to do so at this time. And now I realize what a shallow, superficial man I am, because now that I've got all the clickety-clackies and I've got all the special touches, I guess pizzazz does matter to me. You would think that the gameplay in its own right would be sufficient, and it was. But for some reason, because everything's here, it's logical, it's ordered, I feel pampered when I'm playing it. Everything is just striking a note. It was a 3-star hotel for me before. Now it's a 5-star hotel, and it's the same building, but I feel much happier playing it. I'm enjoying it more. I do like the solo automata here. I do like it a lot. I think it's a great way to do it, which means I'm going to play it more. But I guess I am not superficial, that I really, really enjoy it. So if you haven't played Castles of Burgundy before, and you have lots and lots of dispensable income, definitely pick it up. You don't need the acrylic tiles, unless you want to just be the ultimate and stuff. If you have played Castles of Burgundy before and you're like, it's okay, but it's not really anything that thrills me, I don't see that you're necessarily going to find anything to convince you otherwise, unless what you missed in the original was variety, or the need to be able to play a tremendous explosion of variability. I don't think that's going to do it for you, unless, like me, you're like, maybe the pizzazz will win you over and go from a really solid game that you respect to a really awesome game that you respect even more. But don't feel let out if the price isn't solid. The gameplay is still the same, and so you can buy the original and be just fine with it. And eventually, later on, someone will put one of these up for sale. But I am so happy that I got this. It really kind of, again, it turned the corner for me. In I expect that I'm going to be playing a lot more, but still on the table for a reason. I feel pampered and great. It's like this is, this has always been, from a gameplay perspective, this game has always been filet mignon, but it's been filet mignon that you eat, that you order at Denny's. Where you're like, oh, this is great steak, but wow, look at all the shootings around me. But now it's been upgraded, so now you get that filet mignon, but at a fancy steakhouse, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to stay here a while. So anyway, Castles of Burgundy, really, really like it. 8 out of 10, probably even higher once I play more. Really, really, if you liked Castles of Burgundy, like, eventually, I hope you give it a shot. You're going to find this to be everything and more that you've enjoyed before and now can enjoy again with even more crunchy goodness. So, all right, thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.